2, 1. Hey guys, thank you so much for jumping over. We had just a slight technical delay. And so if you were on any of the other channels, I would love it if you do me a favor and stick around at youtube.com/allaccesslive with Kevin Rankin. You can hit the subscribe button. There's a little bell. You can be notified about all the upcoming guests that I have. You can go back and look through 251 other episodes that I've done on this show since the beginning of the pandemic. One of the guests that I had last week was near and dear to my guest today's heart. Master G from the Sugarhill Gang was on the show, and we had such a good talk about Doug Wimbish. So, man, I don't need to introduce this guy with all of his accolades. He's done more albums and projects than you could ever count. If you're a bassist, you already know that he's one of the most innovative cats on the planet. But from this incredible studio, I've got Jermaine Jackson. What's happening, man? and so did you ever get a chance to tell Jermaine that this is an origin of your back?
No, I haven't had a chance to actually spend time with Jermaine and give him a little bit of my history and how he helped connect the dots for me. Yeah.
I am. Well, guys, if you're coming in late, of course, this is Doug Wimbish, maybe best known for Living Color, but the guy has been across the board, man. Everything from the Sugarhill Records days through Jeff Beck and Mick Jagger, and we'll get into all that stuff. But you want to tell the story about Jermaine? I love this story so much, man.
You like that story?
I love it, man. Please.
Okay, so I'll back it up a little bit. So when I was around 10 or 11 years old, I would spend summer vacations in the Bahamas with my mother's family in Nassau. That was great, just being out in the country, checking out all the live music and just the culture coming from Connecticut was really, really eye-opening. So my second or third summer vacation in the Bahamas, I was about 12 years old. And at this time, the Jackson 5 had came out. Right. They're a big hit everywhere. So I have young uncles. And at that time, I started to sprout a little bit. I had a big afro, premature mustache. I was like 12 going on 13. So my young uncles came up with the bright idea of telling all the people that they knew that I was Jermaine Jackson in the Jackson 5. And the best part about that, I don't know, best or worst, was the people believed my uncles. And why did they do that? They would take me to nightclubs and tell people I was Jermaine Jackson. And because there was no television station, it was just a radio station in Nassau and newspapers and album covers or whatever, but people couldn't connect the dots. So they believed my uncles, and their purpose was take me into a club, usher me in so they could order drinks for free. And that's kind of how everything played out. So that being said, that was a turning point for me. At the end of that summer and being in this, quite a few different nightclubs, it's fun when you're 12, 13 years old and you're in a nightclub. It's like, wow. Anyway, I was starting high school, 1970, and it was that September of 1970 where I said, you know what? Either I'm going to be impersonating of somebody all my life, or I really want to be a musician and make a career out of this. So that was a turning point for me. And that started the whole cycle of just the awakening of getting serious and starting the path to find the knowledge and be around the right people to help me move forward in life. And I'm still doing that to this day.
Man, I love that. Excuse me. Sorry, one sec. We're on earlier than I typically go, and I will be, I'd lie if I didn't tell you that I was so excited about the show, man. I mean, you and I'm going to back things up a little bit. You and I met for the first time. We had some hang on the 80s cruise a few months ago, right? We're heading out to the Caribbean. I did a sit down at this poolside with Corey when we were all doing the 80s in the Sand down in Cancun, about I guess October of this last year. And one thing that I absolutely loved is over the past 25 years, having seen Living Color a bunch of times, pre-break and after you guys all got back together, I've been playing with a flock of seagulls, right? And so our bassist has spent some time with you. He has great stories. Pondo is when we were all first boarding the ship, and he sends me a picture, actually the hotel. He said, "Guess who I just ran into?" And it brought me back to a story that I heard about a while back when Living Color had, I think it may not have been Living Color. No, it wasn't. It was Stevie Salas project, and you guys were out with Deftones. And Pondo did something to piss off the Deftones crew. And so do you remember the details of that one?
Vaguely.
Okay.
But I'm quite sure whatever Pondo said, it's pretty watered down.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to what really happened.
Right. Yeah.
That was a Nickelback tour. It was Bernard Fowler and Stevie Silas. And, we were doing some shows across the country. And I do remember the event, but I was in the shadows at that time. I think, I wasn't right on the, Johnny on the scene. Yeah. But, I heard it on, it all that story rose to the surface. But I don't remember seeing it, to be honest, when it was going down. But if he says it happened and some.
Okay.
But I'm giving Pondo some love because, thankfully I was able to meet him through Stevie Silas. I believe they're cousins or say they're cousins or whatever. So he's a great guy. And I'm just glad that you are all connected and made things feel really even warmer when we got together and we're able to see each other. Like, Pondo, you're here. He said, "Yeah, Doug, what's going on?" He started chopping it up. And then I realized here we are, having this conversation and, we have a mutual friend.
Yeah. Oh, more than you might think, actually. But the connection that you've got to the New York studio scene. I know that you grew up in Connecticut, right? Am I right? You're a New England guy. You're still there. I love. Did you move away for a while? I know that you were in London for a little while, but did you actually move to the city? Were you up in Big Apple proper?
Yeah, I was. Okay. So in little backstory. 1974, I met Skip McDonald, guitar player from Dayton, Ohio, Harold Sargent, drummer from Cincinnati, Ohio, Otis Stokes, saxophone player from Dayton, and Hubert Powell, keyboard player from Hartford, Connecticut. That was the core.
Okay.
That core went to New Jersey because they had a connection with Joe and Sylvia Robinson from All Platinum Records.
Right.
So it was at All Platinum that we were able to do a record under the name of Wood, Brass, and Steel. That was kind of, in a sense, continued.
Okay.
Because before I got there, Skip, Harold, and Otis Stokes had already been associated with the label, did a single with under the name of Wood, Brass, and Steel, which was kind of a company name. Okay. And that song was "Hey, What's That You Say" / "It's a New Day." Actually, one of the most sampled songs that's, drum sampled songs out there. Anyway, so fast forward, now we're there and we signed a record deal, added Randy Bost on trumpet and Barton Campbell on guitar. We did a record, a full album, Wood, Brass, and Steel. So that started our back and forth journey between Hartford, Connecticut and Englewood, New Jersey, sometimes daily. It's a good haul. So from 1975, 76, 77, 78, 79, we were back and forth going between Englewood, New Jersey, New York City, up in Harlem, and Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
So that's how that was that connection. Go ahead. You're gonna say something?
I was thinking about that timeline because I knew that Having talked to Master G this last week, and I knew quite a bit about the sort of formation of Sugarhill Gang and what Sylvia did to put together that band, and essentially, I mean, it was the studio session band, right? That just that she was auditioning to singers, but in '79, right? That's when you were already in that studio doing all these session recordings.
To back it up a little bit.
Okay.
So we did, just to kind of tie it into how we met Master G. We
Okay.
did 2 wood, brass, and steel records. The second one, and then another record under the name of Brand New Funk, which was really a group with Sylvia Robinson, Skip, Hubert, and myself. She wanted to do like a Brothers Johnson-esque kind of vibe.
Okay.
So that came out, Brand New Funk, 1978. Now, 1979, things started to get a little challenged at All Platinum. So we kind of kept our alliance there, but then we shifted gears with this rhythm section and ended up going over and working in New York City with the group by the name of Musique. They had a big disco hit called Push Push in the Bush. So now it's August of 1979. So I get a phone call to my mom's house, and it's Sylvia, and she's looking for Skip and I. At that time, let's just say there was still some residue that was left over from, the certain things that took place business-wise that kind of kept us from returning the phone call.
Okay. Yeah.
At first,
you are so diplomatic, man. Oh my God.
It just kept us from returning the phone call. So, and this is a real story.
Yeah.
So we met Keith LeBlanc, and then we got a gig at this disco called Leo's Welfare Disco in New Haven, Connecticut. Why was it called Leo's Welfare Disco? It's right next to the welfare office in New Haven, Connecticut. So Rapper's Delight comes on the speakers. DJ's playing it. Within 8 notes, I could tell that was an All Platinum record.
Oh, really? You could, yeah.
Oh, instantly. It's like Motown. You could tell. You could hear a Motown record you don't know, but you could just, the studios had their sound. Motown, Muscle Shoals, so on and so forth. So anyway, right. I hear it and I'm like, I heard about Rapper's Delight, but I knew instantly that was an All Platinum record.
Okay.
And that was the record that probably, that Sylvia wanted us to cut. Keith got very excited. He was, hey man, let's go to the studio. He'd never been to the studio before. So I called Sylvia up. And Sylvia, at that time, she says, Doug, I've been trying to reach you. I got something that's hot, that's hotter than hotcakes, she would say. Where's Skip at? And the big man was Hubert Powell. Now, at that time, Hubert was a very religious person that had gone back to the church.
Okay.
So I said, well, the big man's back in church, but Skip and I are together. Can you come down now? It was like Saturday. I'm like, we can't come down right now, but we'll come down on Monday or whatever. So we came down to the studio and brought Keith. And that's when we met Master G, Wonder Mike, and Big Bang Hank.
Big Bang Hank, yeah.
So that started the whole frequency. And Sylvia was like, Doug, I've been trying to reach you. And I'm in the back of my mind, I hear, the voices of my elders, so to say, who were like, hey, you've already, be careful. You've already done this before. But, I could sense that there was something that was different. And I always got along with Sylvia. Sylvia, yeah. I never had any issues. And, you try to look at every situation and judge it for what it is at the moment. But things were, that record was just blowing up.
Yeah.
So we go down, meet Master G and God, instantly go in the studio. And now we have another keyboard player with us, Dwayne Mitchell. So, and Craig Derry was there as well. So go in, start doodling around. And then Sylvia said, I got a gig this weekend with at Harlem World. Now check this out. Now, she had another band record called Positive Force. They did Rapper's Delight. Even though Sylvia wanted Skip and I to do it, we didn't.
Right.
Positive Force ended up doing that recording. They're from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So and they put a record out called We Got the Funk. We Got the Funk. Great. It was a great record. Anyway, so Sylvia, clever. She says, you know what? There's a gig. Positive Force did a couple of shows with the Sugarhill Gang prior, maybe one or two. So Sylvia just let nature take its course. So she says, we're going to play Harlem World, Positive Force. You're going to play, and we're going to insert Skip, Keith, and Doug on stage. So basically, she put two bands together.
Oh, greedy.
Yeah. So, and she knew that there would probably be some friction going on, and she was right. So the other band was a little uncomfortable. Plus, at that time, might have been some frequencies going on. I don't know. But that was the first gig we did with the Sugarhill Gang. That gig was crazy. We could only play maybe just get through Rapper's Delight. And it was this massive pandemonium going on. And I swear to you, that was the closest, if there was ever an experience that I had where I felt like I might have been playing with the Beatles or somebody like that, it was that gig. Because it was insane.
Yeah.
They were so big because Mr. Magic was playing them on the airwaves of WBLS. People were going bananas. So we had to do a runner out the building. The girls are running and chasing Master G down the streets. Skip and I are looking at this going, well, maybe this is something that we could stick around and do. So this all happened, Kevin, in over a matter of a week.
Wow.
Just over a week. It was like, go down, meet Sylvia, introduce Sylvia to some of the other guys. She was really keen on Skip and I. She was pretty, okay, you guys got these guys, but you two are who I'm really vibing on. So it just happened so quickly. And then I realized years later how Guy, Mike, and Hank connected, how they were, kind of able to connect the dots and some of the things that took place as they were auditioning for Sylvia,
Right.
So I was just, that is an amazing, real-time story. And I look back now and I'm so thankful that I called her back.
Yeah.
Didn't get caught up in the emotion of something that had happened previously and just made the call. And, sometimes people, you have to really think it out and don't let your emotions get too tangled up. And it's easy when you're in a group. Because when you're in a group, you're bundled together.
Yeah.
And it's anyway. So.
Emotions feed off each other, off themselves, man. God, I love their story. It's crazy to think that if people knew the foundation behind all of those bands that had such an impact, every one of them has like this incredible sort of formation story where guys in the band auditioned or how people met. And, when MTV or actually VH1 had Behind the Music, right? That was always the same story every time, man, because it was the end of all those bands, right? It was always like, this is what happened to cause the demise, man. One of the guys got cocky and he wanted to go off and do his own thing, or somebody had drug addiction or drinking problem. And it was almost like reading the same book over and over again, man, but people that appreciate the music, they'd eat that stuff up. They liked the drama, but man, when you're in it, there's nothing worse than that drama, right? Because, I listened to your childhood. One thing that I noticed about hearing you tell your story a lot of different times is that you got amazing recollection. You have details that I'm hoping that if bass players or musicians are out there and they're listening to you talk, they're taking notes, right? Because if they try to follow along with your timeline, it's ridiculous. And people's names, where you're at, and the excitement, when you're, late teens, early 20s, and you've got the world ahead of you where you feel like, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, right? I mean, I'm speaking for you, man, but I'm guessing that because I know how passionate you've been about playing music. I love the early formation stuff, and you can talk about as much as this as you want. You know, I typically, I want people to understand where it is that Doug Wimbish came from. A lot of, you got on the radar for a lot of people with Living Color, right? Muzz took off in the band, and you came in. They'd already had some video success and recording success, but real players know. I mean, the Jeff Beck days, the Mick Jagger days, and those studio sessions. And when I was saying we had mutual friends, I mean, do you know Eddie Martinez by chance?
Very well.
Okay, yeah, man.
Very well.
I had a feeling.
Eddie Martinez and I share the same birthday, September
Do you?
22nd.
Beautiful, man. Yeah. Well, Virgo, listen, Eddie's a dear friend of mine. He's here in Portland. I played a lot of gigs with him here as well, man. And I know that he's done some of those Stevie Salas gigs as well, right? So Steve puts together, but he didn't get stuck in one of these. Let me share this. This is going to be a fun one. You can tell this story. One of my favorite pictures of you guys here.
Kevin, you pulled that out with Brian Tishy, Big Daddy, Bernard Fowler, and Stevie Salas. You know what? We were up in Whitehorse, up in the Yukon, way up in northwest Canada. And so anyway, that picture is from us getting a ride on a helicopter. You can see in the background. To be able to see some of the mountain range in the Yukon, and we were actually looking for certain wildlife and stuff like that. But it was snowing that day. I was a bit concerned I was just like,
you've read the stories.
It was one of my first helicopter rides, but it was smooth, and it was very eye-opening. And I got to thank Stevie, for hooking up and connecting the dots, and his tribal connection to the area. So that was wow, you dug up a great photo.
Oh, yeah, I got another one here.
Back memories. Let's have a look. Let's see what you got.
You're gonna like this one. Let me find this one here. Hold on. Yeah. Same trip, right? But all right, here's this guy. Let me grab this guy. All right. Tell me about this one. This is not something that everybody gets to do when they're out on tour.
Yeah. Hey, man, that was killer. To be able to ride properly.
Yeah.
On a dog sled. I mean, properly.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And it's just, it's great to see something that is really, really real in a sense. There's people that's how they live. That's what they're doing. And those dogs live in those houses, and you're out there, man. It's like you're in a serious outdoorsman environment. Here I am. I'm in friggin' Hartford, Connecticut, looking outside, seeing highways and everything right now. But that was a great experience. And I felt comfortable. The people that we were with looked after us.
Did they? Yeah.
But, that was a great experience. And plus, trying to just stay up with the dogs and trying to stay on the sled.
Yeah.
And I always found myself behind everybody else, but I didn't go falling. I didn't go sliding off the trailer.
Well, yeah, man. Well, you got business to do back home. I know that that event, and I got those photos from Stevie. Stevie was also on the show, and I love the dude. He's got that guy is a storyteller, right? He really has amazing stories. And but you guys were part of that project, Rumble, right? That he had going on. Yep. And this is crazy. I mean, I know that you've got Native American descendant as well. Yeah. And if you want to tell people a little bit about that. And I think, if I remember, he got a Grammy for that, didn't he?
Well, it's like, really, it's Stevie's vibe. We were involved with, just performing live for some of the nations that Stevie got, he had gigs hooked up. And it was, just to be able to meet some of the native leaders was fantastic, and to see now after centuries of being abused in a sense, and
Yeah.
now they're like, casino owners, multimillionaires, and being able to take those funds and put it back into the community. It's just fascinating to
Yeah.
see how that has transformed over just a couple of decades.
Yeah.
But Stevie's so deep into it, and it's coming from the heart. He's Cherokee straight up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Apache, I think. I
He
think it's
is. Yep.
Apache. It's
Right.
Apache, right?
Yep.
And so he's in it for real.
Yeah.
We would, Brian, Bernard, and I were able to follow in his footsteps and be a part of his world. And Bernard's got Indian blood in him, as do I. And so it was, in a sense, I have a lot of gratitude to be able to have that experience in life with somebody like Stevie Silas, who was able to make a change and a difference. And if people haven't seen Rumble, check it out.
Okay.
It's a great movie documentary about Native Americans' contribution to music, and if you want to really put a certain frequency on it, and to rock and roll.
Yeah.
But it was great time.
Man,
great time.
I a couple things there that you just mentioned. Number one, I love that frequency is a term that you use often, and it's it's so descriptive. And I think about how when I listen to you talk about the origin of music for you and people that have influenced you, and you even talk about energies, between people, and it kind of goes across the board. I mean, frequency is a big thing there. But you talked about gratitude too, and the focus of the show is oftentimes reflecting on that stuff, and the whole idea behind my podcast. Everybody's got a podcast out there. It was for me. It was an opportunity for me and Pondo and Mike and Gord to still share experiences of the road while we're hanging out at home. Right, we were waiting the pandemic out, and gratitude became something that was a daily focus of mine. It's a ritual, because I realized how much we can take for granted if you don't stop and think about that. Every time I've met you, I could see the humility and the gratitude. You'll talk about somebody else in a positive way. And when we were on the cruise, there were a lot of artists, that they don't necessarily want to cohabitate, right? You're stuck on a boat for a week, but you and Diane were out everywhere, man. You're out checking out music. You're having dinner with everybody. You were a man of the people. You could tell that you not only were you humble, but I heard you expressing positive energy towards all these other, whether they be people on the boat, like patrons or fans, if you want to call them that, or other musicians. It seems like you've always been, I mean, from what I hear, right? I mean, that kind of attitude is probably what helped you from those early days, spending summers in the Bahamas, all the way through those days in Connecticut and going into the city where everybody else is hustling and they feel like they got to step on somebody to get ahead. But it seems like you've always been a guy that worked with people and not against them. Am I right?
Well, yes. You have to find a way how to walk between those sonic raindrops, those frequencies. Again, that that can actually change your whole path. So look, it's to me, it's just important to wake up, if you're blessed to wake up every day, and you can look in the mirror and still be happy with what you see, the person that you are.
Yeah.
That's a good start. Nobody's perfect in this world, but if you could start with yourself first by just trying to be honest with, what you could do to make things better for somebody else, not just yourself. And that's just how, I was raised like that, from my parents. That comes from a spirit deep inside. And again, going to the Bahamas was key because, there's wealth and poverty going on side by side.
Right.
Extreme wealth, extreme poverty. And I was able to embrace both sides of the coin. Plus, Nassau is an old pirates.
Right.
It was the pirate capital of the world. So Blackbeard and Leech, and all these. I forgot some of the key pirate names, but whatever. But you feel those frequencies, so you feel the frequencies of people just are able to survive off of just fish,
Yeah.
coconut, conch, and the spirit of each other, keep it and happy.
Yeah.
And you can also see people with extreme wealth, and they may not be as they just don't seem as happy as some of those that have less than that. But anyway,
Right. Yeah. No.
in life, you just try to meet up with the right people to be able to help you learn and navigate through this, through life. And it's important. You got to be around folks that are heavy.
Yeah.
Some are dark,
Yeah.
and you find a way how to deal with it and not let that darkness, you know, take over on you. So it's like, again, it's just, find that 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 place within yourself where you feel that you're making good decisions, and you're actually listening to other folks as well. Because look, it's not about me. I'm not the
Yeah.
architect. I'm the recipient of other folks that were able to give me some of this information. And now, as I, spin around this earth and go around the sun more, it's important to me personally to pass that on to those that could use some of this information.
Yeah.
And we share these stories together. Just have a place in your heart where you can give to somebody without waving a flag or come off like, I'm this great person. No, I'm just a normal guy. But I'm thankful that I've had pimps and hustlers around, politicians,
Literally. Yeah.
Sylvia Robinson, Joe Robinson, heavy cats, being around
Yeah.
somebody like Morris Levy, or a Daniel Miller from Mute Records, or
Yeah.
Jeff Travis from Rough Trade over in the UK, or being able to work with a Trevor Horn,
Mm. Yeah.
and then going or picking up Melly Mel and dropping the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five off at, in my old 1978 Nova, in the South
Ooh.
Bronx, to
Yeah.
being able to, hang out with Mick Jagger or Jeff Beck. And then the next day, a week later, I'm right back in the streets of Hartford, Connecticut, doing a concert in straight in the hood,
Wow.
for an event that's taking place in, with at a youth club.
Wow.
So it's like, how do you stay connected by saying by seeing seeing things and being able to connect with them and not get into this elite kind of vibe where,
Yeah.
well, I'm too good to do that. No, 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 no. That's what happens with folks is when, okay, you get to you do things in life and you meet different people, and as musicians or just say, using an artist, and you try to get to these certain points in life, and if you make the right moves and the right decisions, and you stay in the game long enough, you'll find that point that's comfortable for you, and you achieve those things. Now you get older, so now say you achieve something that's okay. So somebody might call it success. It's a blessing and a curse. So now now what happens when when you were 20, you had a certain drive. You were getting it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could deal with things as a band. Now you're 30, you got hit off a little bit, you got weighed in, and so now you have your original path is still there, but you've acquired other things and other tastes in life. So now maybe you want to expand on some other things. Maybe you're now acquiring, a different. You're investing in different companies or whatever. So your drive, your shift, your it changes as you get older. So
Yeah.
you start to look at, okay, well, now do you have that same drive that you had when you were 20? And now you're 30 and 40, and do you have that, does it mean the same thing to you? And I experienced that. So what I just try to do is just stay connected to the youth, stay connected to the elders. Don't find myself comfortable in this one pocket that is, because that's easy. You know what I mean? Find a way how to be around things that still challenge you, where you're not comfortable, and you can find your way to get comfortable. Have conversations that are, that could make a change. So it's like we find ourselves in these different at different points of life where you have to stay humble, stay kind, but also you got to every now and then a little ghetto has to come out of you. You know what I mean? You got to be like, somebody's trying to do this. You have to remind them, well, hang on a minute. That's not, let's deal with this another way.
Yeah.
It's survival, but it's also with respect and protect your families, and don't let somebody abuse somebody else without you having a voice.
Yeah.
You got to stand up. Don't stand it, but everybody can't do that. Everybody can't do that. Not, and I'm still figuring out how to deal with that myself.
Yeah.
But if you're around the right people and you got allies and friends, sure makes it a lot easier.
Amen.
So this is the journey that we take, Kevin.
Yeah.
This is the journey. These are the challenges we have in life. But to me, music is a reflection of your life. How you live, it comes out in your music. So if you have all of these things that are going on, all the people that I've mentioned that I've been able to meet, or if you go on my website and see all the different folks that I've met, I've learned something from each situation, whether it was something that worked out or whether it was something that collapsed. It doesn't matter. It's all relevant.
Sure.
It's all relevant. Day and night is relevant. So I learned something from every situation about myself, and and how I carry those frequencies over to, if I'm blessed to wake up the next day, how can I continue to just learn every day?
Yeah.
But don't get stuck. I try not to get stuck in this elite corner, or I've done, this, that, and the other. Look, the stars are in the sky and they fall down sometime too.
Right.
So
yeah, buddy.
I'll leave it there. I know I'm getting a little long-winded, but
No, not at all.
Life is about the reality of, living, and have some fun and smile.
Yes, sir, man. If I was collecting sound bites there, things that were profound that would actually impact me and other, up and coming musicians, there are about 1,000 of them right there. I can see people in the chat that are talking about how, you're a legend's legend, which you don't take that on yourself. I like that, you don't absorb that and take it to inflate the concept of yourself. But for me, what really has helped me a lot in music was grabbing onto a few people that are in my life that at an early day, I saw that they had the success maybe that I wanted musically, but they were so humble and gracious and being able to give back. And they also had this energy, right? And just the energy that I'm talking about, I think is probably possessed by several people you work with and have worked with. I just saw McCartney a few weeks ago, man. I took my son, McCartney. I'd never seen him. My son's 20 now. At 10, he knew more about obscure Beatles stuff than I ever did, right? He is so obsessed. He sobbed with joy when we watched the show. McCartney's 80 this month, right? And he played for over 3 hours. And he was calling attention to drivers, his monitor guys, the crew. He brought attention where that attention rarely gets placed, and I felt like it was such a class act. And other guys like that, like, I don't know if you were at NAMM this week, they did like the strange, summer NAMM in LA, but the last time I was there with my older son, sorry, my pug's in the background. He loves it when I talk about, NAMM, I guess. We saw Stevie Wonder. It's the last day of the show, or of the NAMM festival. My older son sees this guy come in with an entourage, sits down at the keyboard, starts going off, and he's like, "Who's that?" And I said, "That's Stevie Wonder." And he said, "No, it's not. Stevie Wonder's blind." I go, I know. And he goes, no, dude, look at the way he's playing. I go, yeah. But when he walked by, honestly, man, the hairs in the back of my neck stood up.
Yeah,
He had this
yeah.
energy. I'm curious about for you, man, early on, whether it be that energy or somebody, because I know that you've been influenced by people, the past, but who has had a direct impact on you, whether it be somebody you play with or somebody you met that carried on?
Well, it's like there's been so many people, but the first person really that had that impact on me is Sylvia Robbins.
Okay.
Because why? Because she was such a beautiful person. She's just beautiful to look at. And I had never seen a diamond ring that big in my life. It
Wow.
looked like an egg, it's just
Yeah.
like, just being around that kind of, there's the wealth side, but there's the warmth side. She's West Indian, I'm West Indian. She really looked after me. I was
Okay.
around a lot of older folks, and some were not, some were pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
And she was like, y'all don't corrupt this young guy right here. So she, came from the heart to look after me. And then Joe, who was, pretty hardcore, serious. You mentioned Joe Robinson. Joe Robinson knew everybody from Malcolm X to
Wow.
Nicky Barnes,
Wow, man.
to folks from the Gambino crime
Seriously
family to
connected. Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
dude, dude.
And
So I'm
feared.
gonna keep it like that. So okay, so there's a reality of what's going on in life when you're actually able to be around bookends like that. Okay, so there's that. And then I started to escalate and go up the ladder. Then I'm starting to meet other folks that came with Sylvia and Joe's label. So, Jack McDuff, the jazz organ player. One day we're doing a session. Who comes over? George Benson. Because George, pulls up in a gold Mercedes. It's a coupe 500 SL. I'm like,
Oh,
whoa, I never saw anything like that.
yeah.
And so there's that glitter side, the
Right.
wow,
Yeah.
But then really it was also, so there's a few folks I got to give back to, right? Then it was the Ohio players
Oh,
because
yeah.
Skip and Harold and Stokes, all from Ohio. Skip had played with the Ohio players when he was younger. He was playing with them when he was like 12 or 13 years old. He was a child prodigy. He played with the Ohio players before Sugarfoot got in the band.
Wow.
So Skip is so humble, you wouldn't know. So we were able to meet the Ohio players and hang out with them when they were at their height. Sugarfoot, Satch, go to Ohio, hang out with them. And that was mind-boggling, right?
Yeah.
Got to list a few folks, all right? Now, going up the ladder, then I meet Jaco Pastorius
Oh,
at the
okay.
Bushnell Memorial here in Hartford. And our band, Wood, Brass, and Steel, had played at the Bushnell Memorial a week before Jaco came, who he was playing with Herbie Hancock's band. He was taking Paul Jackson's place for a couple of shows. So I was able to, get in, go backstage because we knew some of the security guards. And then I meet Jaco. We just locked eyes, and I had his album, started chopping it up. He took a shining to me. He had a glass of milk on his amplifier. He had his acoustic amp with a looper. I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I was trying not to geek out, but just kind of listening and chopping it up with him. And showtime comes, and he's like, and I'm like, yo, thanks, nice meeting you. I'm gonna go sit in my seat. He said, no, man, you could stay right here, stay right beside the stage. So I saw the whole gig like just 10, 15 feet from him, and that did my head in.
Yeah.
After the show, he's like, hey, Dougie, how'd you like it? So there's two guys from the local radio station that are there. Jaco pulls out a cassette tape, and he had just came from Florida, and they had mixed what was to be the Heavy Weather album.
Oh,
So he has
wow.
the whole Heavy Weather album on a cassette.
Wow.
Now he wants to hear it because he just got it. So he's talking to these two guys, and the guys from the local radio station, which was right next door to the Bushnell. And he said, "Hey, I got this tape. Can I go next door? Can I play it?" The guys were like, "Sure." So after the show, it's midnight. "Doug, you want to hang out with me?" "Sure." So I go there with Jocko and the two guys from the radio station, and I hear the entire Heavy Weather record from top to bottom about 4 months before it came out. He just came from the studio. He had it on a Maxell tape, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking me through every song. He's like, "Yo, Doug, check this out. I'm playing drums on this song."
Oh my God.
And it starts off with him playing, it's Teeny Town. He's just
Yeah.
so I'm blown. Okay, needless to say, I'm saying to myself, this is going to change the whole world, because people still weren't that familiar with Jocko. They knew him, but it was those that dug deep would have had his first album. But it still wasn't a household name until really, in my opinion, till Heavy Weather came out. So dig this. So I hear that, and then it gets better. So he's like, "You know what, Doug? Man, I was talking to John McLaughlin." So he's dropping these names. I'm like, "Whoa!" He said, "John McLaughlin said he's working with a company up here. I can't think of the name. He's working with a company that's experimenting with guitar synthesis." And he's like, Electra. I said, "You talking about Electrocomp synthesizers?" He's like, "Yes." Just so happens, I had met the guys a few months before through a percussion player named Courtney Branch, and we all grew up together. So I said, "Jocko, I know the guys. They're in Vernon, Connecticut." He said, "Man, I'd love to meet him. I'd love to meet him," because they had retrofitted an Ovation acoustic bass, and they found a way how to sync it all up to some synthesis stuff.
Wow.
And I said, "Jocko," I said, "if you want, I'll call the guys in the morning and if you want, I'll bring you out." They said, "Yeah." He said, "I got to leave it around 1:00. So I said, "Up." So I said, "Okay." So I called the guys up early in the morning. "Hey, I got Jocko for stores. He wants to come and come to your factory and check it out." And these guys thought I was joking. They were like, "Yeah, right, whatever. Okay, cool. All right. See, what's the address?" So I get the address. So I pick Jocko up in my little yellow Pinto with mufflers off and everything, and get there. And
fire blowing out the side.
Exactly. So I pick him up, drive him out to the company. You should have saw the look on these guys' face when I rolled up with Jocko. So anyway, this company, side note, they basically do stuff for Electric Boat, who makes the Trident submarine. So they'll come up with sonar ways and put out like certain tones. So if there's a pod of whales or something like that in the submarine, they could disperse the whales or what. So they're working on things like that.
Yeah.
But they're musicians and also experimenting with synthesis. So I bring Jocko there and he bangs around. They freaked out. So I'm there. I'm 20 years old. So anyway, bring him back to the hotel, gives me his number. He's like, "Hey, if you're ever in Florida, come in. If you want to call me, call me." And I was too shy, man. I mean, if you wanted to call somebody at that time, it was a toll call and stuff.
Right.
So. But anyway, so I never saw Jocko after that. But that is one of the put your hairs up kind of like, that was the first time I met somebody that was just, it's Jocko on a whole other level.
Yeah.
So there's that. And there's other bass players, Bootsy, Larry Graham, so on and so forth. So now the next, it's just layers for me. It's like every time you meet somebody, you inherit, hopefully embrace that frequency. And Jocko had eyes that were like, it was clear as a bell. It was like he could see inside your soul. He had those eyes some Svengali eyes almost, like you're looking at him and it's just like you're in. Anyway, so then start moving up the ladder. And who was the next folks that I really met? So many. I mean, really, Arthur Baker. Then I go over to, it's just, oh, okay, here's a good one. I ended up meeting Arthur Baker, hooked up with Jeff Beck. That took me to a whole other level. Oh, yeah. And then Little Steve and Arthur did the Sun City project. There I worked with 50 different artists. And I met Miles Davis at that, and that was, it was funny, man. I meet Miles and I go up to shake his hand and say hello. And said, hey, Miles, man, it's a pleasure. Because he played on the record. Said, I always wanted to meet you. He goes, well, here's your big chance. And he said, and it is, I shrinked up. Said, I'm only kidding with you. He slaps me 5 and stuff like that. But anyway, there's, and that was a great experience because, it's Miles Davis,
Yeah,
So
man.
the Sun City Project, Peter Gabriel, Keith Richards, Bono, Nona Hendrix.
Oh, man.
It's a cast of just everybody was on that record. So that was a whole just kind of like, that was the home run for me, because from there I started to work with many other artists that Arthur was working and producing with. So now I meet Mick Jagger through Arthur Baker.
Okay.
And I met him, one year. We just kind of like, chopping it up at the studio because I was doing a remix. Took a photo with him actually. And so now fast forward, I'm doing Jeff Beck's tour with Simon Phillips and Jan Hammer and Jimmy Hall singing. We're in Japan. Actually, it was 1986. I did that. It would be quite a few years ago.
Yeah,
this month. Anyway, so now I finished Jeff's tour. Jeff, what are you doing after the tour? He said, hey, I'm going to be doing a second Mick Jagger record. He said, you know what? They're going to be looking for some players. You mind if I throw your name into the hat? Sure.
Do you mind?
Then,
you're like, nah, that's all right.
And then right after that, about a week or two later, I'm working with Keith Diamond, producer. And he's producing Michael Bolton's record, The Hunger. So he got, he called me to do some stuff with him. It's just starting to snowball.
Yeah.
And then after about 3 or 4 days, like, Doug, just got a call. I'm going to produce a few songs for Mick Jagger's next solo record. They're going to be looking for a bass player. Do you mind if I throw your name into the hat? So I got the producer now and Jeff. So anyway, I still had to audition. So I do the audition and I ended up getting the gig. It was a cattle call, the audition. New York, LA, London, 40 bass players. But I was fortunate to get the gig. Then I'm working with Mick. And it was there that took you just go from, to the ultimate. It's you have, bigger. It doesn't get bigger. And, but it was my vibe with Mick. I kept it real. You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't really get caught into the brown nosing of this, that, and the other. I think my association with Mick was very raw because of just you just got to be real, man. You can't, you get in those situations and cats, they kind of geek out. And I remember, just kind of like with Mick, I just tried to, just keep it real. Look, after you deal with Joe and Sylvia Robinson, dealing with rappers, and you start to deal with the other side of the coin, it's kind of, you have good footing. You have good footing. Right. And people want you to be yourself. I think that's why you're there. Right. If they want somebody to a replica of what that person wants you to be, then they can get there. But I always just try to not get caught in know my position. That's his world. I'm glad to be here, and I'm not getting tangled up in the highlights of everything. Because Mick is like, he's a mate. You know what I mean? He's just, so out of everybody that he had in the original band, everybody else, I'm the only one that he kept when he started. Really? When he put together the actual core band that became his touring band with Jimmy Rip, got Joe involved. I was able to get Joe Satriani that gig. I recommended him. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things that happened, that went on with Mick. Yeah. That was not just an education, but also an opportunity for not just myself, but other folks as well. Because again, it's all connected. You know, Joe was there. He's hooked up with Bill Graham. Bill Graham's promoting part of Mick's stuff. We're going to Europe. I mean, we're going to the to the Far East to play in Japan with Mr. Udo, and so there's all these different things that you start to experience that become very real. And it's like, I'm like, whoa, this is. And then with Mick, it was so because he's doing it himself. He was going for it. So
Man,
it's
well, you know what,
freaking
man?
great.
It was that. Did I hear right that Mick was the one that actually introduced you to Living Color, the Cats in New York?
No, it's the other way.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically, it's like, okay, first week of rehearsal. Okay, we all auditioned. Vernon auditioned as well. So I ended up getting the gig. So now I'm at SIR, and
Wait, do you say Vernon did not get the Mick Jagger gig?
well, yeah, they were auditioning guitar. Actually,
Okay.
Eddie Martinez had that gig, but Eddie
Yeah.
was going off to work with Robert Palmer, so
Right.
he couldn't actually do it, or what somebody else. But so Eddie did the audition,
Okay.
right? And then he, because he had the gig really. So
Yeah.
but anyway, it was a cattle called Vernon audition, but he didn't get the gig.
Gotcha.
And so anyway, now we're in rehearsals first week, and it was the weekend. So Mick comes up to me and he's like, that it's there's a lot going on at the end of that Friday. It's a lot of folks came in. I'm over in one corner just chilling out. Mick's over in one corner. Everybody's kind of hovering around him. His brother comes in, and he's got he had I could sense he had something that smelled really good on him. So anyway, he does, so Mick comes over and they do a little slip. And then Mick comes over to me and we're chopping it up. And he's trying to get away from some of the other folks. And he said, "How you doing?" I said, "Well, I'll be doing much better if you roll one of those jammies up that I did." He started laughing, right? Just keeping it real. So anyway, so we're kicking it. And he's like, "Yo, Dougie, Living Color, I've been hearing about this band. You know the guys, we're like, yeah, I know Vernon. We're mates,
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a matter of, he said, yeah, I want to check them out. I said, well, they're playing at CB's. Those,
Oh, yeah.
they're at CBGB's. They do like a they play there a lot. Hilly always has it.
Yeah.
Playing. It just so happened they're playing that weekend. So he had been hearing from some other folks that were buzzing on Living Color. So I said, yo, Mick. So it's like, I said, so why don't you go check them out? So we'll go, you and Jeff go check them out. Why don't y'all go check them out? So they did. So we're rehearsing on Saturday. So the next day it comes in. It's like, man, Dougie, I really like the band. So, what do you think I should do? I said, dude, you're Mick Jagger. You can bust out all these blues cats. Do something with, do it. You take them in the studio, do something with them.
Yeah.
So it kind of went like that, and
Okay.
it was, maybe there might've been some space in between, but anyway, that was kind of like the contact. He had seen them, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long it took before. See, I kind of remember we had that conversation. I'm like, yo, check them out, do something with them. But then we're rehearsing, and then it's, for the studio. Now we're in the studio. Mick still has Living Color on the radar,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then he's mentioned, so now we're, just so happened that Ed Stasium was the engineer at that time. And we revisited the conversation. Hey, Dougie, I'm really, really thinking about doing something. Hey, didn't have to say anything. He said, Ed, would you mind coming in? I want to do a demo on the band.
Yeah.
And that's how that went down. So
Wow.
I kind of as a mate, Vernon and I've known him for years, since '82. We met on a Duke Booty record, but that's kind of how it all went down. And then, fast forward, I end up in the band. But look, it's, when somebody's a friend and they're your mate.
Yeah.
And, I had my own band, Tackhead, and
Great
I know
band.
guys that would have been trying to cock block and be like, no, man, I don't know. What about me? But no, man, if one person can get through, right?
Yeah.
Especially being a band of color, and you have Mick Jagger helping you out. It took him a minute to get the band signed. It wasn't automatic.
Sure.
If one person gets put on, now you're going to be able to put other folks on as well.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the reality of how if you're going to, how you help somebody. It's not about you. It's about what are you about, and what scene are you involved with? Because Living Color is a product of Parliament Funkadelic, the Bar-Kays, Carlos Santana, all the bands that, that paved the road for us And now we're able to pave the roads for bands like new bands that are out there right now, or bands that, like my nephews, like Unlocking the Truth, even though they're not together anymore, but they're, you know, we're able to help, you know, give some information for this generation.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, that's really what it's all. So I got to thank Mick. I got to thank, you know, for what he did, believing at Stacey, taking the band in the studio. And I have to thank him for believing in me.
That, again, man, you know, it always goes back to your gratitude. I love that. I wanted to, so we're gonna put just a stamp in that for a second, because I want to get back to Living Color. But I saw in the chat here, amazing bassist, an old bassist of mine, Rob McLean, was asking, you mentioned Satriani, how it was playing with Satriani compared to Madonna. That's, you know, a vast thing.
God, those are complete different frequencies. Okay, I'll start with Madonna first and then work to Joe. Okay. Madonna was something that came, there's a whole different frequency. So my friend Andre Betts, producer, who produced the last Living Color record, shade a lot of songs on that. He actually produced Justify My Love with Ingrid Chavez and Lenny Kravitz. That was a big single for Madonna. Yeah, he produced that. And now he's doing the Erotica record, and he calls me in the studio to do a couple of songs for that. So that was like easy, because Dre is a good friend of mine. He's straight from the street. He's hard. He's funny as hell. Yeah. But you're not getting jacked by Andre Betts. It's not going to happen. That's why Madonna liked him, because he's so razor sharp. He doesn't miss anything. So what's the difference? Madonna's vibe was Dre already, you know, had a track up, and he, you know, basically we're waiting on her to come in the studio, and he's like, you know what, let's cut the track. So I cut it. And then Madonna's she's coming off the heels of she was doing Dick Tracy at that time, with Warren Beatty and all that stuff was going on. We're in the Midtown studio. Anyway, so I cut the 2 tracks. One song was called Eating Out, Where Life Begins, right? Yeah. And Dre and I work so well. We just, you know, like it was, you know, it's not a difficult song. It's just, you know, you just got to have the right frequency and know how not to overplay. Yeah. Find the frequency. Because with bass, you have to understand, you have to know how to hear where things are going to go. So before I play, I'm like asking Dre, what else are you going to put on this? You put, you know, is it going to be orchestral? Is it going to be sampled? Is it going to be, you know, what other frequency? So I can understand, I know where to kind of lay, you know, just to lay those basic notes so that other things can breathe throughout it. But also maybe put something in there that he could tag along, or maybe somebody can, you know, play a line that might be meaningful and have an answer, something that's, you know, question answer kind of vibe of what's going on with the track. So I cut it. So then Madonna comes in. She comes in, it's Madonna. And I'd seen Madonna back at Danceteria years before, you know, a few years before she got put on with Mark Kamens and stuff, because I work with him as well. And Bernard knew Madonna as well. So anyway, she comes in, she got a box full of, she's doing a new movie. So she's researching some stuff. So she's got a box, comes in and in the box is a bunch of old Playboy magazines from back in the day. So Dre's so ghetto. So Madonna comes in, and the first thing Dre is just like, "What you got, Mo?" "Oh, I got something here." So I don't want to show you what I got. So Dre just reaches his hand in there, pulls out one of the Playboy magazines, opens it up to the center, and it's like, damn, these babes were built back then. So he's just nothing Madonna could do. So I was like, so, you know, Dre introduces me, "Oh, this is Madonna." So I'm like, previously, you know, before he, you know, she comes in, "Hey, this is Doug. He's bass player and this, blah 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 blah." Then Dre grabs the magazine, stuff like that. Damn. So I'm like, "Yo, Doug, you got to see this. Check it out." So Madonna's like, no, don't show Doug anything until he plays bass. He hasn't played bass yet. She done already played bass. So
Your reward.
Dre's just like, didn't play bass yet. Click. And then it comes on, and she starts dancing and grooving. So there's that, you know, again, Madonna was, you know, it's Madonna.
Yeah.
She's, you know, she's going, she's the real deal. You know, she's
sharp.
not.
Yeah.
She's an icon for a reason. You know, she
Right.
set the pace, and that erotica record was one of the first records that was probably the first record album that came out where they had to put a explicit sticker on it because
Right.
she was a pop star, but now this record took her into another quadrant, and it's being sold in like Kmart's and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's like, what do we do? You know, with this, you have these kids that love her, but now you're talking about eating out and all these other things that are kind of very sexual.
Right.
So anyway, there's that. So that was, to me, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a easy peasy kind of vibe because Dre set it all up. I must have cut that track, dude, a half hour.
Really?
Tops.
Wow. Amazing.
Well, because
man.
it's not that if you're overthinking it, it's either it's like Dre gave me all the information. He was like, Doug, do this, do that. You know what I mean? I'm like, let's go, because we've been working together. So we had a system, we knocked it out. Joe is great because Joe is where you get for a bass player, that's where you get the information from. Joe Satriani, Jeff Beck, you know what I mean? The Steve Stevens, the Steve Salas, you Joe Burner Reeds. When you're playing with a guitar player, it's a different frequency because they're all different.
Yeah.
They all have a different character and shape of the note.
Yeah.
It's and you have to figure out how to work your shape to blend in with them, and also vision what drummer is going to be on it, and how can you lay something that's going to be a good foundation. Now, I met Joe at Backstory. I met Joe Satriani at Summer NAMM in Chicago, right?
Okay.
And I'm jamming around, playing. I'm playing like Get Smart on the bass. Just jamming around. Then I look up and I see these eyeballs looking at me, and it's Joe Satriani. And I'm like, so we start kicking it. And Joe was a huge Tackhead fan.
Oh, cool.
He knew about Tackhead because we had played in San Francisco. He was living in San Francisco with his sister at that time. So anyway, we kick it. And then his, what is Not of This Earth, or one of his first two records came out. It was on Was it on Relativity, or was on I can't remember. It was on a label out in Long Island. I can't remember. Anyway, so we're kicking it and exchange numbers, and that's how the first connection started. So now, we'd see each other, maybe come to a Tackhead gig or whatever in San Francisco. So now, back to Mick Jagger. We're about to do this tour, and the band is Jeff Beck to promote Primitive Cool. Jeff Beck, Simon Phillips, and myself and Mick. And at first, it was going to be, Jeff was like, "Yo, this, Dougie, this is." He was thinking it was going to be more like a 4-piece band, which really got him excited. But it started to expand after that. So Jeff decided that this, it just, and fair enough that it was, something that he wanted to move on from that, from where it was going. So we're sitting around, we're at Barwell Court at Simple Minds, the bass player from Simple Minds place out in Chessington, in South London. So we're sitting around, Mick's trying to figure out who's going to replace Jeff Beck. So Brian Setzer's name comes up, Neil Sean, and a few other folks that were really hot. And then Simon throws somebody into the hat. And then I'm like, yo, I know a person. You're like, who? I said, oh, Joe Satriani. Nobody heard of Joe.
Yeah,
Mick
really?
hasn't heard of him.
Right, because it was it's a different scene too, right? I mean, it's a
different scene.
Yeah.
Yo, check this out. So I was like, all right. He said, yeah. I got a couple of his records upstairs. Yo, Kevin, I broke out one of those. Remember his first 2 albums? He had the bouffant hairstyle with all, kind of real. Man, I showed them just the album cover. And they were like, oh no, we can't use anybody. Like, they didn't even hear a note. Not a note. They were like, oh no. Oh no. And I was like, man, ain't this a bitch?
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I said, this, I told Mick, and I said, this guy is going to be bigger than freaking toilet tissue.
Yeah.
You watch.
Right.
So then tour gets moved around. Maybe Jeff came back for a minute and then bounced again. So now they they reshuffled the deck, and now they're, you know, basically what was happening was, you know, the Stones are on break. Mick had a little bit of, you know, his record did okay, and originally he was going to do a world tour with Primitive Cool, but he kind of missed that cycle. So it's like, we'll just do some shows in the Far East. We went to Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, stuff like that. So he's going to do just some compact stuff. So anyway, now it's it's January, February of 1988. We're auditioning. Now still guitar, we're about to start to rehearsals, and it's Jimmy Rip now, Simon Phillips, myself. I met Bernard Fowler there at one of the auditions, and I was like, Mick, you got to get him. So then Mick said, even before that audition, Mick calls me up and says, Dougie. I said, yo, I said, what's up? I said, yo, I got to apologize. Apologize for what? I said, you know that guitar player, Joe Satriani? I said, yeah. He said, I love him. We're going to use him for the tour. I said, that's great. Because now Joe's blowing up. Surfing with the Alien is about to pop.
Yeah.
He's hooked up with Bill Graham and Mick Brigden. Brigden is kind of like in the mix with Joe, with Mick, because he's kind of, you know, Bill Graham is and Mick Brigden. Mick Brigden was Bill Graham's right-hand man. God bless his soul. He passed away last year. Oh. And so there was that whole vibe. And I felt like, you know, okay, Mick, you know, it just, you made the right decision, because Joe was freaking killer. Yeah. And thanks for giving up, thanks for coming back and just saying that. It's just, you know, it was because anyway, it's be real. So playing with Joe Satriani. So dude, just playing with Joe was great. Joe had a spot in during Mick's tour where it was just a trio. It was just Joe, Simon, and I. We were playing Satch Boogie or something like that, a couple songs. So anyway, then we ended up, Mick and Joe was like, hey, I'm going to do a record. We'll just go to Woodstock and do that up at Barrettsville. So we went up there, and same band. Phil Ashley on keyboards, God bless his soul. So it was Phil Ashley, Simon, Joe, and I. Wow. And we cut a bunch of things. But working with Joe is like, let me tell you something. That he's such an amazing guitar player. But in all the demos he did was on bass.
Oh,
right?
really?
It's flawless.
Yeah.
Dude.
He's
flawless.
He's a machine.
So he's picked in a certain way. And I'm like, dude. So, but I did everything I could to emulate what he did, what he wanted, because his, with somebody like Joe, it's he can hear the whole orchestration of what he's going to do. Yeah. So it's like when he's that kind of guitar player, and he's that good, and you can learn so much and so much discipline by working with a guitar player like that. And I want to thank Stevie Van Zandt for giving me the opportunity, because I started really playing with a pick with Stevie Van Zandt, because Stevie Van Zandt's a bass player.
Yeah.
Wow. When I did the Sun City and all those records, Dougie, man, here's the deal. Check this out. So you carry something over from every experience. Right. And to be prepared for all the things. And I played with a pick before, but to really understand how to play rock. Yeah. And the shape of the note, and blues, the shape of the note, metal, the shape of the note. Now I'm playing with Joe. Joe was articulation, precision bass, how to hold the pick. That was a woo. Really? Yeah, that was some things that are so simple. Let me tell you something. Joe's stuff was, he just had really solid, good grooves, and I wanted to be able to embrace what he had and give him exactly what he wanted and learn from that experience. I love Joe Satriani. He's one of my favorite guitar players ever. Period.
Now that you mentioned that, I was wondering early on, because I know that he programmed his drum sections, his drums on all those records, and it makes sense because he knew what orchestration he wanted. He always had great, real clean drummers. Jonathan Mover playing drums with him, obviously Simon Phillips. But I was thinking of, you know, if he knew what he wanted, it's probably easier for him to go in, record and program the drums, because in his mind, he's not going to be able to explain exactly what he wanted from another drummer if that's the way you know, he's cerebral, man. And but it makes sense about those early records, having his programmed drums where he's like, I know what I want. I'm going to do it this way, you know, just like recording bass. And there's that precision thing. I mean, as a drummer, right? I really kind of was disappointed, thinking, oh man, come on, why don't you use use some cats in the studio? It's not like you're not going to find a great drummer. But if what he's looking for is a particular sound to convey what he wants to have out on the road, it made sense, I guess. I'd have to ask him, you know, but even his bass players, like, you know, Stu Ham was his guy around that time for a lot. And I think I remember he was that kind of bass player, right?
He was
very
great.
staccato and you know, his and just thinking about playing with a pick, I'm glad that you bring up that that influence. Do you have a bass close by?
Yeah, I do.
I had a feeling, man. So as he's grabbing this, you've been playing Spectre basses for how long, buddy?
Oh, well, okay. Well, Spectre is one thing. But let's start off with the mother of all mothers. This
Oh,
is
there
the
we go.
original.
Look at that. Oh,
This is
look at
the
that.
original Sugarhill bass.
Oh, look at that gold pick plate, man. That's just yeah, that's like a
This is
that's
the
a
bass I cut all the songs from.
wow.
Funk You Up, Freedom Apache. That's the joint. The Message, White
Oh,
Lines, New York, New York, Eighth Wonder.
oh,
All the
buddy.
Sugarhill songs, all the Wood, Brass, and Steel songs were cut on
Oh,
this
look at
1972 Fender Jazz bass with a diamond in the middle, right on the
oh,
first fret.
look at that. Wow, look at that.
And
That's
it deserves it.
hey,
So this is what I
yeah,
this
oh,
is
that's
what I
beautiful.
yeah, man.
Oh,
And this is I
okay.
got this bass for $50. I traded a
What?
guy I traded a guy a
Hold on,
I
don't put that
traded him
away. Don't put that away. Have a
an
seat for a second.
Ibanez an Ibanez um imitation SG guitar, white Ibanez imitation SG guitar, and for and $50 and a new set of strings for this bass.
Oh my God, man! And that someday that thing is going to be, you know, in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Well,
You know,
yeah, I know, man. It's I'm gonna put this. I told the missus, let's get this somewhere where people could see it and it won't get stolen or abused or something
right?
like that. So like for maybe like the Smithsonian or
Yeah.
someplace like that where there's gonna be people that will look after it.
Yes,
That's
sir.
my wishes there, Kevin.
Hey, you know,
That's
speaking
my
of
wishes.
this, you know, you mentioned your missus, Diane. You talked about allies earlier, man, and
Right.
one thing that I feel like has made a huge difference in my life. Man, I was married 28 years to my childhood sweetheart. We're not married anymore, but we're still best friends. I would never have the success or at least the fulfillment that I had in music if it weren't for her sacrifices, compromises, that kind of thing. I know that it's difficult for a partner to have a musician whose mistress is music, right? I mean, really, it's like because you share so much passion in what you play. She is such a huge part of what you do. I love, you know, getting this together and seeing her on the cruise. There
Oh
was
yeah.
there was, you know, that I felt like there was a unit there when you guys are together. It's you know, you could tell, and we'll get into Wimbash in a second too, because I know that she's a big part of having that all happen too. But
Yep.
I just definitely know that I would be remiss if I weren't to say how sort of how much I appreciate seeing that, you know, from a so for somebody who gets it, you know, that a spouse and a
Yeah.
partner is really a solid foundation for musical success.
Well, I appreciate you, recognizing that and saying that because, you know, we can't do this by ourselves. Some people think you can, but without the love that you have and support from your family and partner,
Yeah.
it's like, that to me is 99.9% of everything.
Yeah.
Because it's that fraction that it's you need that for security and to be able to wake up every day and when you venture out, you walk out that door, it's like being in the military.
Right.
You're out there until you get back home. And you're leaving your loved ones at home, and you're worried about them and vice versa. So to stay connected and to be able to do something that it's not an I thing, it's a we thing.
Yeah.
Then it just makes it all more meaningful to me.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't work for other folks, and maybe there's a point in life where you find that it does work for you. But I'm thankful that I have Diane in my life. She's smart, articulate, calm, and she's not playing around with me. She'll be like, "You're not going to be wearing some, LL Bean sweatshirt on this daggone podcast. If it was up to me, I'd be in my pajamas and have a Cape Cod shirt on." She's like, the hat on.
I like. Oh yeah, I appreciate you
dressing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
It's just keeping it. I'd have that Living Color shirt on that you have right now.
There we go. Yeah.
But it's like understanding that you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And as I'm saying that, she's walking downstairs right now. She's pointing her finger, going, "Oh, don't put me on the camera," but she's smiling.
Yeah. Hi,
she's
Diane.
upstairs. Love you, Diane. Kevin says hi, Diane. So but again, it's Diane that puts all the pieces together.
Yeah.
She's and it makes my life a lot easier. Because I'm able to actually focus on playing, and dealing with things. We both deal with the, have the conversations in regards to how to map things out. But when it comes to the real nuts and bolts of making this engine move forward, she's the one that's really making it happen. Right. And she's doing it in a way where it relaxes me.
Yeah.
And now nice. I don't have to, because before I was doing a lot of stuff myself, and then you hire people to do this, that, and the other. And Diane's a physical therapist, so she watched people come and go and do a job, half this, that, and the other. And she just look and go, "Oh, I could do that." Diane makes my pedal boards. She
really?
Makes makes all my pedal boards.
Oh my God,
man. Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
For y'all that don't know, just for clarity, see that?
Oh my God. I remember looking at that on stage on the cruise. That is insane.
Well, this is the one that I have just for the house. Okay. This doesn't leave the house. This is actually like 4 different boards all in one. But that's Diane that puts these things.
Wow.
Look, she color coded everything in the back. She put all the tape on here. And then when my other techs see that, they kind of go, "Who did that?" I'm like, "Diane did it." Just
of course.
Silence. Yeah. But anyway, but I have,
hold on. I think you muted yourself for a second. You muted your phone for just a sec.
Boy,
there you are.
Unmute myself.
There we go.
Big thumbs. But anyway, big ups to to Diane, and thanks for giving her that love, because look, it's I'm not the architect, man. I'm just the recipient.
Oh man, it takes two, buddy. When you said that you can't do it yourself, I talk a lot on this show about mental health, man. I mean, for me, the pandemic, and I know for every musician, there's not a person on the planet, first of all, that was not affected in some major way by the pandemic, right? It's crazy that every person on this planet was affected by it. Musicians, creative types, artists, it was a struggle, man, where the things you sort of identify as what makes you whole was stripped away. And that a lot of musicians on this show that struggled in a way they didn't know how to ask for help. They felt like they were alone, even if they weren't, right? And so the fact that you said you can't do it alone, I oftentimes tell people, if you don't feel like you've got somebody in your life that can hear you and could understand, I usually share, and on the normal channel that I do the show, I have a phone number for the substance abuse and mental health crisis line, SAMHSA. I'll put that in the show notes. I don't know if you've had to deal with any mental health issues or anything like that, or substance abuse, that you've been around it, I'm sure, man. So the idea
I've been around it and through all of that, you know what I mean? It's part of the lifestyle that musicians were able to get away with for so many years. It's lawless and a crime. Every day is like Friday and Saturday night when you're out, on the road. And
right.
That is, look, that takes its toll, and you have great times for a couple of weeks or a month, that you come home and there's nobody there. and it's your own fault. Or you didn't have anybody coming in, or a real friend that just came and pulled you aside and said, yo, man, you know, what are you doing? Some folks will just let you fall off the cliff because they're entertained by it. A real friend will come in and find a way how to communicate with you. So you got to try to keep real people around you and be real for other people, or you're just an enabler. If you enable certain things, that's where. But you have to find a way how to certain times have verbal judo to know how to deal with things when people are, you know, getting a little, you know. But use logic, listen. But a hug goes a long way. A hug goes a long way. Sometimes people are just going sideways, and I'll be listening, and I'll just go like, come on, give me some sugar.
Yes,
and
sir.
Just grab them, share some tears with each other. And that's the frequency. If you can shed a tear yourself and shed it with somebody else, now you're connected. It doesn't heal everything, but it's a start. It's showing that you care. You can throw money at things. You could do this, that, and the other. But look, my life, I've experienced so many different things, good, bad, and different. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a product of the 70s, man. The stuff that I saw, you don't even want to know. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm no different than anybody else, but you learn. Yeah. And you learn how to either you learn or you make the ultimate sacrifice to yourself.
Right.
And you'll see that happen with other folks. So, but what you could do, what can you do to help? Can you listen? Can you be around good people? Can you find somebody that you can that you could talk to that will listen to you, and you feel that they're giving you their time from the heart, not dollars on the hour?
Yeah.
You know, it's really, you know, so in life, there's the notes we play, Kevin, but it's the other people that we're around, family, kids, friends, aunts, uncles, dogs, cats, the fish in the tank. All these things are frequencies that we need to keep us together. And you also have to have that uncle that'll be like, yo, man, what the F are you doing? Get your ass over here.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to have straight up black discipline, as we would call it in the ghetto. You know, you have to be like, boy, what are you doing? Don't you go get that switch off. Go over there and get a switch. Come on over there. I'm getting up in that ass. You can't do that nowadays because you know, kids will call the police on you, but you needed that wake up call, that boost sometimes that comes without words. Sometimes somebody can give you that look, and you know, I can't fool him. Yeah. You can trick people. You can get away with something all day. When you lay your head down at night, you know, I got a problem. I got to do something about it. What am I going to do? Now, and a lot of times when you have a problem, you have an issue, just look at your bank account. Do the math, get a calculator out. Every time you buy a bag of weed, how much does that cost? You get some blow, how much does that cost? Every time you get some cigarettes, you do this. You want to go see this, you get some alcohol, add that up. Yeah. And then wonder why you don't have any money or you don't have anything. You know what I mean?
And spiritually bankrupt. I mean, you think about the spiritual bankruptcy, right? I mean, that's the thing, right? Because there were guys like early on in my life, Dave Weckl, when he was playing with Chick Corea, when I was a teenager, man, I snuck backstage because I was so blown away by watching him and Pat Tucci do their trio. And I was this kid in Montana. And I'd never seen anything like it, man. I was raised on, you know, like 80s Sunset Strip, LA rock, right? And and I saw Dave Weckl play, and I said, I gotta know what the heck that guy's got going on. And so I ran backstage with my dad, and Dave actually went back to the hotel and talked to me for a couple of hours, man. And I was this like long-haired 17-year-old rocker. But he was telling me, you party? And I thought he was asking me to. And I said, no, man, I'm clean, sober kid. I saw, playing music in clubs, how I didn't want to be. And he said, yeah, man, you can't. He said, now I'm in my 30s. And I did the stuff, he said, but if I want to do this and be passionate about it for the rest of my life, if I was going to continue to do what I was doing in the early 80s, there's no way I'd still be doing it. And now, I'd see him at NAMM every year, and he's telling the same story, right? 35 years later. And they were words that stuck with me, man. I mean, he actually wrote me a letter, which blew my mind. I still have that letter framed where he was checking on it, and those kind of, I say this on my show a lot too. My favorite saying, Jim Carrey told a bunch of graduate, like marketing students at this commencement speech, the effect you have on others is the greatest form of currency there is.
He's right.
And that's so right, man. I heard that and I thought, well, that's Doug Wimbish right there, right? You know, because that's what you're saying this entire time. You also just mentioned the whipping. So I'm gonna have people get a whipping right now. You got your bass in hand. You got that Fender Jazz.
Lord.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, that's so good, man. I'd seen you play the flamenco. The flamenco.
The flamenco slap.
Yeah.
This
is crazy, man.
It's just a reverse. It's just one day I just looked at my hands and said, man, I could strike all 4 strings with just one finger.
Yeah.
Okay, there's that. Now I was kind of looking at it like I'm a percussion player, and I started to try to emulate different drummers. So you can start to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, just you find,
yeah.
it's like this is all great here, then you have to find a way how to make it musical in a way so that it all. So on and so forth. But anyway,
man, you know what's the beauty of that is that, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, man. I was just going to tell you when on Zoom, the amp actually will kind of blow out the bass. So instead of getting distorted, what it did is it took away the amplification, and you could just hear the fingers on the strings, which is yeah.
Anyway, so on and so forth. Anyway,
so
but
tasty.
it's things that you learn over time, and that you can find ways to put that into something musical.
Yeah.
But also it's just having it's the shape of the note. So there's the shape of the note with the bass like that.
Yeah.
So check this one out. Now that's your classic 1972 Fender Jazz bass, round strings. The one that black inlays, the one that everybody likes, right?
Yeah.
But now you got to go back. I got to go back to Brill Creek to like where I started, like what bases was I playing at the time.
Look at that.
So I'm playing Seafoam Green, right?
Buddy.
And I'm playing something that has a whole different shape of the note right now. There's a whole different shape of the note. And this is what I like about these instruments, because you could not. It's the shape of the note. It's like, even though it's flat wound.
Yeah.
So it gives you a whole different.
Oh.
It is that slapping part, but then if you really just want to kind of like
turn the volume down for just a quick sec, just because it's blowing. I'm missing a little bit. I want to see this. Yeah.
That better?
Yeah.
That better?
Yeah. Oh.
It's just the warmth, it's the shape of the note.
God. And
or like so on and so forth. I can go on,
buddy. Yeah, you know,
but
and
it's just the shape of the note that we all fall in love with, and that's a flat wound bass, a bass with flat wound strings. Let me put my earpiece back in. Then I'm moving. So I went from the 70s to the 60s to now to the 80s.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, look at that. Wow, that quilted maple is nice, man.
Yeah, it's really something that has now you'll be able to hear like the Stuart Spector, the age of activity, I call it.
And
tell me if this is too loud.
Nice. Yeah, I think like the isolated notes really come through, but as soon as it gets a little heavier, then it kind of disappears. And I don't want to miss it, man, because it's so beautiful.
Is that too loud?
Oh, no. Oh, that's...
It's got that kind of vibe, you know what I mean? Where
yeah.
you can just tap, again, flamenco slap. I mean, play the song. Just got such a good shape of the note. Wow. Good to be in tune when you play something.
No, that's overrated, man.
Yeah, anyway, you get the idea of kind of like...
Oh, yeah. God, man. What a...
Anyway,
yeah,
so
man. God,
there's the different styles and different frequencies that I'm blessed to have companies that have been able to put instruments in my hands nowadays. But the first one, Mom, thanks to Mom and Dad for giving me. You know, I mowed the lawn and shoveled snow and did the dishes and everything else to get their respect and love to get that Fender 72 jazz bass.
Man, you know, you talk about your family a lot. I mean, you and you hold reverence, you know, to the inspiration or at least the support that you had. A lot of musicians don't get that, right? I mean, a lot of musicians' families are thinking, oh man, you're just going to go off and waste it. You know, you had all sorts of, they had ideas of what they wanted the kid to do. Early on, your parents saw that you were passionate about it, right? Like I heard about you finding the mandolin, you know, and the recycling. And that was the start.
Recycling. You never know where that spark is gonna, it just hits you, you know, and you just go from there. But you know, Kevin, we can go on and on. This might have to be a multi-part kind of vibe, you know what I mean, to be honest. But
well, let me ask you this. Okay. So I had you know, Eddie, like I said, Eddie's been a dear friend forever, man. I've had Eddie on the show a couple of times. And you know, Dave Abersees is a dear friend of mine, right? And we've been talking.
Great.
I love it, man. And so I I've been trying to manifest a couple of guests that I've not met, but I'm really inspired by. And Bernard was one of the people that I reached out to. I sent a note to Stevie and to Dave and Eddie, saying, "Hey, I know you cats are friends with Bernard. Let's have an episode. I want to talk about the same kind of stuff that you're talking about, not just the formation and where you're coming from, but the behind the scenes, like what it is in your heart, that has made it attractive to all these people to reach out, and I'd love to have you and Bernard together on an episode, bring Stevie in on a little bit of that, bring Dave in. These are people. Dave is the other one besides Weckl. Abrazis is a guy that early on in my life, man, he took me under his wing, brought me out to his place in Seattle. He and my girlfriend and showed me for like about a week how incredible somebody in that position could be at the height of Pearl Jam success. And really, he influenced me in a way that was way beyond just musical. It was about, and I've heard you talk about guys, when you were first playing these clubs, and you'd said you took over for the pimp. And you said, that guy did not want to show you his chops. And you said, I knew then how I didn't want to be, right? We have probably more inspiration about how not to be than how to be with someone. But Dave was one of those guys that outside the music, I loved his spirit, man. That guy's heart is bigger than any, and I can see that in you too, man. I think there's probably a reason that you guys all resonate so well together,
It's like, look, it's your heart's got to be pumped, got to be full of blood, not Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, what's in that heart of yours? And it can't be fake. It can't be something that, I got to do this to be able to get some likes on YouTube or on Twitter. No, man, it's like, look, you have to be able to interact with people from the heart in a sense. And another things, you have to interact with people from a distance.
Yeah.
You can still, there's the human touch, which is much needed right now, especially what's going on with happening with the pandemic. But like also, and I could be in a room with somebody, but also we're not in the same room with each other. We are online. Yeah. And we were able to make it. But we were in a room together, and we were able to make a connection, and that connection got us here right now. And you're connected to that network of folks that we all kind of know. Those folks that I call my family.
Yeah,
they're just as much my family. Bernard right now is in Seville right now doing some stuff. He's out with the Stones. We just did some Tackhead stuff a few weeks ago. But between my Living Color family, my Tackhead crew, all the Sugarhill guys, Guy, I hadn't seen Guy in years, since we did that. And the stuff that Guy and I did is legendary. Hold 1 second, all right? Can you hold on for 1 second?
Yeah.
You got a second?
Yeah,
all right, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, while Doug's gone, I'm just going to mention really quick here. I really want to thank my sponsors. 5 Star Guitars is based in Beaverton, Oregon, which means that if you order online, there's no sales tax. So if you guys are musicians out there, you want to get great guitars or basses, you need repairs done, or you want to get lessons, they even do virtual lessons there. You can go to 5starguitars.com/all-access-live. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you see there that has discount, and you can get 15% off by using the promo code of all-access-15. So go to 5starguitars.com/all-access-live. And then let them know they just got ranked in the top 3 in the world for innovation at the NAMM Association this last weekend. I also want to thank Rhythm Traders, greatest drum shop on the West Coast. They're up in Portland, Oregon again. So if you go to rhythmtraders.com and let them know that All Access Live sent you, you get 10% off. And if you order online, again, there's no sales tax, so you save tons of dough. So I do want to let you know that I appreciate the support from 5 Star Guitars and from Rhythm Traders. And if you're collecting vinyl, you want to look for some stuff from Doug's collection, whether it be Living Color or previously recorded stuff, Apache and Eighth Wonder and that kind of stuff from Sugarhill. You can go to musicmillennium.com. All right, so Doug's back. Thank you, buddy. I was thanking my sponsors, man.
Hey, man.
There's a great guitar shop here in Portland that supports the show, and they've got a great pairing with it. So I had to make sure that I thanked them while you were gone.
Good.
You were talking about Master G a second ago, and I would be also remiss if I did not say that he wanted me to thank you for letting him play the low E string on Rapper's Delight when you guys were out doing shows.
You know, I'm looking forward to doing some more shows with the guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, man, that was like, it was just natural. No rehearsals needed with the Sugarhill Gang. The stuff that Guy, Hank, Wonder Mike, Skip McDonald, Keith LeBlanc, Craig Derry, Winston Dixon, who was riding around on the unicycle, Ed Fletcher, who wrote Duke Booty, Craig Derry, and what we experienced with the Sugarhill Gang. Let me put it to you like this: it's hard, really, really difficult to explain, but it's not, because things have just arced over what was happening with the Sugarhill Gang a lot. Things just kind of like, it's a trip, because Sugarhill wasn't a label that promoted a lot of stuff at the time, okay? Like, and then Run DMC and all of those guys came out and they had major support for major labels. No, this Joe and Sylvia Robinson was straight from the street.
Wow.
But anyway, one thing I want people to know, that I'm thankful that we were the first band group in history to bring rap to the world.
Right.
Live.
Yeah.
With a live band and with live rappers. Yes, there was events that took place starting in the Bronx with Kool Herc and everything from 1973 on. That's, you know, but as far as what Sylvia Robinson and Joe Robinson did to be able to get Rapper's Delight on the airways and have that record take us to the world. It's the first time people ever got a chance to really see rap music was with the Sugarhill Gang. We went places you can't even imagine. I couldn't have imagined at that time. We were in Maracaibo, Venezuela, Caracas, Venezuela, Dominican Republic. We were in places that were we'd never been to these places on Earth before, you know. Wow. And I just want to thank the Robinsons for connecting the dots, but also my brother Guy, and because, you know, Hank is gone right now, and Mike is still around. He's got some challenges, but Guy's still there. He's still carrying the torch. And out of all those from Sugarhill, it's like really, you know, the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Mel's still around, Cowboy's gone, Scorp is still around. You know, there's some, you know, short Sequence. Angie Stone is still kicking it. Reggie Griffin's still doing some stuff. So there's some of us that are still active. Craig Derry's extremely active, one of the biggest vocal coaches, best vocal coaches in the world as far as I'm concerned. And without Craig's existence, maybe none of this would have happened, because he's the elder that's been there longer than all of us. So Craig Derry really is the unsung hero here. He's it's the who connected the dots.
Yeah.
You know, Craig is the sage. He's the person that really kind of like was able to, he was a defender and a spiritual healer for all of us. Without Craig Derry's wisdom and clarity, you know, we wouldn't have survived certain things. We've been in gigs where there's been gun battles going on. Oh, dude, you have no. I mean, so, but that's all. That's for the writers and the directors. They all want to see. They all want to hear about that kind of stuff.
Right.
But let's talk about the love that we have for each other.
God, man.
Let's talk about how we shared our money. Let's talk about how when we were stuck, we figured things out. Let's talk, and that's why Guy and I have such a connection now. She never. It's for the end. It's universal right now. It's off to the gods. So what we experience in this world so far has been able to give us guidance of how we're living our lives right now for all the things we went through. So Guy, you are my brother. You always will be. Wonder Mike, you're my brother. God bless you, Hank, because Hank was that person that I really connected with as well. And Hank and I were the same age. He passed. Hank gave me my first effect pedal.
Really?
A rapper.
Wow.
He bought a electro harmonics bass synthesizer for me. Just here, Doug, here's a gift for you.
Wow.
You never know where things come from, from people. But I just want to give some love to again, all the late great Harold Miles, who was the road manager for the early Sugarhill Gang tours. He was straight Harlem. He's straight Harlem. I want to give him some love. I think my in-ears about the rock.
You know what, man? Guys, if you have been here from the beginning of this conversation, then you've heard Doug. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, right. I can hear it. Yeah. I was mentioning that if people were here from the beginning of this conversation, every time you've made a statement about a part of your life, it's gone back to thanks that you have for people in your past. And I know that you focused a lot in other conversations I've seen with you. You talk a lot about elders, man. And I want you to know how blessed I feel, man, to have gotten this time where you've shared so much, but so much gratitude. You know, right now, man, the world is hurting, bro. In our country, especially, I mean, the United States right now is struggling, you know, and I, every night I go to bed and I talk to my kids about gun violence and just how you got to keep paying it forward, putting forward love and kindness, you know, that you can't let that stuff break your spirit.
No, you can't.
I'm just, I feel like you've not only reinforced it, man, but you've really inspired me in a way that I know that the good guys are out there, you know, and especially the things that you've seen, bro. I can't wait to read, you know, like your book at the end of the day. because see, then you don't have to hold back, right? You don't have to be so diplomatic. You can just let it fly, right? So,
you know, music is a reflection of my life, how I live. It comes out of my music and my friends and family and stuff. And you're right. We are living in some really deep times. And, you know, Tackhead, we have a song out right now called Rulers and Foolers. And if you want, and the lyrics are pretty deep to that song, because it really says everything about what's going on. And it's like, it's just, if you get a second, y'all check it out. I'm trying to see if I could dial it up right now to give you all a little hint of it, but I can't seem to find it right now. But it doesn't really matter.
I'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Yeah. It's called, there's a new record. It's by Tackhead, and it's on a Pay It All Back Volume 8 record by Adrian Sherwood.
Okay.
You know, and if you get a minute, check it out. It's the lyrics of that song really pretty much it says it all in itself. You know, again, we're on this planet. What can we do to make things better? You know, let's vote. Yeah. Don't be afraid. Get out and vote.
Yeah.
Don't sit on the sidelines. You know, it's not worth it. You know, also show some love for those that have already been around the sun a lot, and see what you can do to, to get that information from them.
Yeah.
You know, because they're the ones that paved the road for us. Those that are in senior citizens home or the old vets haps, be around them, give them some love, hug them up. You know, there's so much you can learn from the folks, and then listen to the youth.
Yeah.
Listen to what they're saying. You know, our generation was our generation. Our music was our music. You know, it's like, we're there, you know, there's always been this like kind of vibe when people hear things, especially music. Oh man, this stuff ain't happening right now, man. My generation. No, your generation is what your generation was, and their generation is their generation for what it is right now. My vibe is listen and respect it. And, you know, and you know, because one thing that music does, it is a connector. Mm-hmm. And music can calm the wild beast. You know, It can, you know, if you find a way how to find those frequencies, back to the frequencies, it can really calm the wild beast. So let us all just try to see to make the effort, you know, pick the phone up, answer the phone, write a letter to somebody,
right?
Letting them know, you know, whether write a letter to a congressman or whatever, you know, what you could do to make a difference. Right. Oh, everybody's speeding on the highways right now. Let your senator know what's going on, because some stuff that the person that's speeding right now down the road could kill somebody that's a friend of yours or themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, there's so many different things that we're dealing with right now on this planet. Gun violence, you know, politics. So look, things aren't going to change. This stuff has been going on for eons, but us as musicians, we have a voice.
Yes, sir.
We have a good voice.
Yeah.
Use it. Believe. And also, but your biggest tool to me is your ears. Listen. If you can listen, you can learn. Shut your mouth up. I babble a lot, and just listen. And then you can start to receive some of that information. You can learn from different people. If you see something that's going sideways, don't let it go sideways. You know, too many times something's happening, your spider senses are going off, but you let it go without saying anything. And that could turn into something that is just friggin' disaster after a while. You could have gotten ahead of the curve and maybe, you know, kind of kept something back on track. But no, you decided that it's somebody else will do it. Well, you know, you're that somebody that can do it. So take some time and just look at the situation and see what you can do to help contribute to something that's going to be positive. And if you see something negative, understand why it's negative to you, because it's positive to somebody else. Yeah. And then you can start to, you know, figure out how, how to have that conversation. Because see, we're as us musicians, we travel the country. We get to see different areas, and you get to meet a lot of people. Living Color, we're one of those bands where, you know, we've been in all the juicy states last year. Yeah. Oh, right. Nice and juicy. Oh, you know, but we're also a band that does speak up, and we'll deal with it. We're not just gonna shrug our shoulders and no, we're like, well, let's talk about that. I love Vernon Reid. Vernon is smart and articulate. Something goes on. He's like, hang on, Doug, hang on. What's happening? You know, let's figure out how to let's table this, or let's take it to the stage. Wow. You know, and let's talk about it. Yeah, and that's power. God. Believe in your friends that you've been around for so many years. We're always looking for some other folks, but sometimes those folks that really have your back and love you are the ones you got to let them know every day. Yo, I let Bernard know. Yo, B, I love you, man. Adrian, Skip, Keith, I love you. And it's from the heart. It's not like slang or lingo. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because there's only so many cycles. You got only but so much time on this planet, right? You can spend time on the couch if you want to. You know what I mean? But you got a purpose and to go do something. If you can do something, do it. You know, it's easy to just sit back and think that you're, you know, oh, I'm a victim of this. That. No. Wake up, do something, get up, make something happen. Because you only got a little bit of time out here, and if you look at what can you do, it's not about something for you. What are you doing for somebody else or for many people? Amen. And that's it. I'm not trying to get Reverend TACK. This ministry is unique. Just lay your hand on the radio. Let me talk to you. I got a straight money groove coming to you all day Tuesday. But you know, it's anyway. That's my you know, just my voice, my spirit, my frequency that I've been able to inherit. And I'm hoping that it hits your ear holes and you can embrace it, good, bad, or indifferent, and give me some feedback on what you're hearing, good people. Yeah. Go to DougWimbish.com. Go to keep supporting Kevin's vibe. Yo, go to somebody. You know, don't be afraid to roll up on somebody that you're at odds with. I was at a rally last year, man. I went to go see. I was at a rally here in Hartford. President Biden came by, and my wife and I jogging. He's right around the block. He was visiting this. President Biden came in town, and he was visiting a kind of like a daycare center for kids. Oh wow! Okay. And I go there. So we go to a cop. We're like, hey, we want to see the motorcade and see what where can we stand. And the guy's like, oh, well, you can go stand over there by the demonstrators. So we're right in the middle of all the demonstrators. We got the Proud Boys chapter from Connecticut. Wow. We got this one. I even had one of my neighbors. I didn't even realize he was that friggin' gone. But but you know what? You there? Stand your ground. Yeah. Learn, watch, and see. but don't be afraid to, support and raise your voice, raise it up. But anyway,
you know what, man? Here's the thing. You opened up a whole new conversation that we have to do a multi-part, because there's a lot right there. Number one, you said you were chatting so much and you were going to hop off, like you're not soapboxing, man. What you're putting forth is this love and this positivity. And that's what this is all about, man. This is, if you look right, let's see over there, every cloud has a silver lining. That's my motto, man. That is right now in the hardest times. I really feel like that's what I got to carry through. There is a silver lining there. Doug just told us, right? I could listen to you all day, man, because what you said hit my ear holes and went to my heart, man. It's that is not just talk, dude. There's a reason. When I saw you on the boat and I watched you interact, I thought, man, I gotta have a conversation with this cat. I have to. And I'm so grateful. You are a gift, brother. I would love to talk to you another, freaking 8 hours if we could, but your beautiful bride is probably like, Doug, get off the phone. Do me a favor, man. Like, folks, if you did get here late, number one, go to DougWimbish.com. We didn't even talk about Wimbash yet, right? So
another time.
That is something that it's really, really important to me too, but being able to give back. What you've done with that is incredible. So what I'll do is I'm going to stay in touch with you and Diane. I'll put show notes to the Tackhead track. And if you go to accesskevin.com, folks, this show is already archived there. You can see it there. I'll have links to Doug's websites, and then subscribe to the channel, because then when Doug and I are back on, you'll know about it. You can just hit the bell, be notified.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell people too, if you go to the YouTube channel and you become a member, I'm going to send some stuff your way. I've got, some stuff that I feel like I really want to share some love, some amazing guests that I just had from the UK. Erica is this band. These young kids were so badass. Doug, I was blown away. They were opening for us. And I said, I got to know what this band is all about. I had them on my show a few weeks ago, and I just got this pack of t-shirts and CDs.
Wicked.
So
wicked,
guys, if you become a member on the YouTube channel, I'll grab a couple of recipients and I'll send out a package where I'm going to give you some stuff from Erica. I got some Flock of Seagulls swag. I got some, the Signature Series drumsticks and all that, and send you some 5-star guitar swag as well. So go to accesskevin.com. You can look at the archives. Go to DougWimbish.com. What's the URL for Wimbash as well? Because this is a great foundation you guys get together.
Well, as far as what's happening with the Wimbash, the whole thing about the backstory of the Wimbash is.
Hold on, no. You got to say that. That's a whole different, because I'm going to get Diane. I'm going to get Diane on that one.
We're going to save that. But one thing I would like to do is, like, there's so many people that I'm thankful to have worked with that I haven't been able to mention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hopefully will be able to get to that the next time. But just some of the current things that I've been involved with right now, right?
Yeah.
Is I just did a song with my nephew, Doobie Powell. And his father was the late, great Hubert Powell. He trained me up. He was a keyboard player in wood, brass, and steel. And Doobie is absolutely phenomenal. He's my nephew for real. So if y'all get a minute, check. If you haven't heard about Doobie Powell, check him out. He's got a new record out called Leander Road. Check that out. That just came out last week. And I got this, if you check my website out, you'll see a bunch of things that I've been involved with over, that different records that's coming out. I've worked with, I've done some really, really good projects recently. I've been working with Brian Eno on some things. And, a band called Spoon out of Austin, Texas. Adrian just did a remix record of that, and I pretty much am on that. And Horace Andy, a reggae artist out of Jamaica. Also, just recently that came out, I'm glad to be on a song with Chuck D and Speech from Arrested Development and Brother Ali, and it's produced by the name of Chrome. And the name of the song is Line of Fire. Check that out. That just dropped the other day. So, and again, Rulers and Foolers and so on and so forth. But real quick, Living Color, we're out on the road. We're doing a lot of stuff. We're going to actually be playing at Rock in Rio this year in Brazil, September 2nd. And Stevie Vai is going to be joining us on stage. So I'm really looking forward to that hit coming up. Tackhead, we're trying to bring a couple of shows to America this year. Stay tuned on that. We have a Wimbish coming up in Connecticut, October 8th. So I'm hoping to kind of like start to promote that very soon. Also want some of my, just a couple of folks that are, we can get into the Wimbish a little bit deeper later on.
Yeah.
But just to give you an effect of what's been going on, some of my nephews who are Wimbish alumni is Brandon Taz Niederhauer. He's a superstar right now. And Raghav Marotra, a drummer, Brandon guitar player, Raghav's a drummer from the Wimbish and everything that we've done there. Now he's at Yale University, Raghav's at Harvard. Wow. Then we're working with the Dream Project in the Dominican Republic. Check that out. So there's so many different things that Diane and I have been able to kind of be involved with. We're listening. And if there's anything that we can do to help somebody in the community that's a hero, reach out to us. Hit my website up because we want to be able to help folks, to help other folk. So if there's that piano player that somebody comes and sees every weekend that's still giving lessons, they're the hero. If there's the mom that's cooking those cookies or taking the kids to the lessons or whatever, they're the heroes. Support your heroes that are right there. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom giving me the $50.
Yes, sir.
The freaking guitar. God. So anyway, I want to leave you with that. Just play music free and with your heart. And Kevin, I can't thank you enough for having me on the show.
You are a gift, brother. Denise in the chat said it perfectly. She said she feels this spirit lands more in the chest than the ears. Doug Wimbish, man, you are a gift, bro. I freaking love you. Please,
I love you too, brother.
Tell Diane I appreciate sharing you for a little while.
Okay,
we're gonna make part 2 fun, buddy, because you're making a difference in this planet. We need more of you. So.